The Auditor-General's office is investigating whether the postponement of the budget speech amounts to wasteful and fruitless expenditure. This comes after the official opposition, the uMkhonto weSizwe party, wrote to the AG Tsakani Maluleke to look into the cost implications of not tabling the speech. Newzroom Africa's senior politics reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo has that story.
The uMkhonto weSizwe party wants the Auditor-General to quantify the cost of not forging ahead with the 2025 budget speech last month. It has cited money spent for logistics such as the printing of booklets, promotional materials, travel and accommodation for government officials, consultants and advisory services.
By the time it's locked up, there's all kinds of printouts there. Those big, thick red books of National Treasury. That costs a lot. They're nice and glossy and all of that. There's tons and tons of those books that must now basically go on fire. So we need to know the cost of that. And that's the first thing. And then secondly, there's also the cost of printing and promotion material. You must remember that this was marketed and everything. Everybody thought this was going to happen, and it didn't happen. And then there will be travel and accommodation for government officials and stakeholders and all of that. That some of the costs are government, some of them are even private. So in this poor economy, why do you get people to scrap up their last money to come to Parliament for nothing?
The Auditor-General's office has confirmed receiving the letter from the official opposition.
The AGSA will consider the request and respond to the party in writing after following its regulatory requirements and set due process on such requests. It is important to note that the AGSA conducts annual regulatory audits on the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa and all government departments. If any material irregularities are identified during the audits, they are reported in the audit reports of these institutions, which are tabled publicly in Parliament.
The Standing Committee on Public Accounts says it will wait for the findings from the AG's office, but there are some items mentioned by the MK party that on a surface level can be identified as a possible waste.
Where there is real impact in terms of money that was spent, that was in the end not utilized, is that the books I was talking about cannot be used anymore if the budget is going to be redone, and it is being redone. The question is whether they are going to print more books or they're going to offer electronic versions. So these are the kind of questions that the National Treasury and government in general have to answer with the Auditor-General and the Speaker and so on. And once we get the outcome of the Auditor-General's report, we are then going to consider it as a Standing Committee on Public Accounts, because we are one of the main clients of the Auditor-General in any event.
One independent economist believes the postponement could have been avoided if the National Treasury and Finance Minister Ngcobo undertook extensive consultations before the 19th of February. Ngcobo says extensive engagement is needed for something as significant as a 2 percentage point VAT increase, and South Africans should have at least been signalled during the medium-term budget policy statement.
Basically, the budget now is going to become like a political football between the ANC and the DA, because let's not forget the fact that this is actually effectively a coalition between the ANC and DA. They account for 87.5% of this government, of this GNU. And so they're the most important parties. The other ones are just, how can I put it? They're there for... they're traffic, they're irrelevant traffic, the other parties, to be quite frank, yeah.
The MK party says, depending on the outcomes of the Auditor-General's report, a political decision will be made on the next steps. The opposition says this could include asking for Ngcobo to step down. For Newzroom Africa on Channel 405, I'm Ziyanda Ngcobo in Johannesburg.